Greetings and salutations, people of this year. Hopefully we won't be experiencing what this movie says is going to happen in 10 years.
More than that. It's 2048.
I thought it was 2028.
Was it 28 or 48?
I swear to God, I thought it was 28.
Well, we just got out of Hotel Artemis, and I'm sorry. Why do people hate this movie?
They say that it's a bit of style over substance, and that it's trying to portray a message and not it's trying to say a message as opposed to like show it. I can't necessarily say that I would 100% agree with them, but I will say this. It is definitely not a flawless movie. It is definitely not the most polished movie. And in a lot of places, it does not reach its full potential. But damn, if I was not entertained throughout this whole movie. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't entertained as well. Because this movie, it's so many fighting emotions. It's ridiculous.
So the premise of this movie, to put it bluntly, it's like if you took the Hitman Hotel from John Wick. For those who don't know, there was a hotel that's basically a safe haven for hitmen, with very strict rules and regulations that you cannot conduct business on their grounds, and doing so will cause immediate death. And they've even got like doctors on standby. They got like a personal bar. It's just, like I said, safe haven for hitmen. Take that and make that more or less the entire premise of this movie. Hotel Artemis is a safe haven for not just hitmen but criminals in general. You got like a chip in your arm that's like your membership card, I guess, and it is run by Jodie Foster, the nurse, who is
a very, very wrinkly and old Jodie Foster.
Yes, but goddamn, she is the best part of this movie. I really liked her. She's got like this outward snarky but very professional attitude about her. You know, she's like stitching people up and it's like, well, you know, we use these for baby elephants, so could kill a normal person, but for you might be fine. Or someone else is complaining about her, it's like, help yourself to some of the complimentary morphine and shut up. She's great. I honestly I almost want to say she's worth seeing this movie for alone.
Okay.
But maybe not, maybe on like a matinee.
But to further the description of the premise, it's middle of Los Angeles. There's a riot started because, actually a detail that I would have liked to know more about. Apparently, all clean water is shut off to the city of LA, and understandably, the people of Los Angeles are pissed off, so they riot and destroy everything that's up and around and necessary. And this criminal named Sherman, whose codename is like Waikiki, it comes to Hotel Artemis from a botched bank job, and he's trying to get his brother, who's been shot, healed up so that they can leave the hotel and just escape to safety. But it also turns out that they've got a little bit more than they bargained for, with Waikiki's brother stealing a fortune, an unintentional fortune, as well as dealing with the owner of those diamonds. What did I say? Yeah, they're very valuable diamonds. The person who owns those is on his way to the hotel which he owns, because he's like the head criminal lord of LA. He's literally called the king of LA. Mm-hmm. as well as an assassin, apparently rich criminal
arms dealer,
mm-hmm. and whatever the hell else pops up during the night. So it's all a fight for survival in this supposedly safe place for shitty people.
Yep, a whole two people work here. We got Nurse Jodie Foster, but also Drax.
Batista.
It's nice to see him in a non necessarily strictly comedic role, and more screen time than what we got of him in Blade Runner.
That is very true. Although
he is also great in this movie.
I liked him, but I would heavily disagree. He is a massive comedy relief in this. Like most of his dialogue is punchlines or funny reactions to Jodie Foster because she pokes fun. Well, she gives him shit. Oh, you're on a diet. Oh, you're getting fat. I'm not fat. Well, I mean, which is okay. It is funny because the motherfucker has been jacked for like the past 15 years.
Well, I like to think that he too kind of shares a lot in common with Jodie Foster's character in that he's got this hardened professional but also kind of snarky attitude to him about him. I mean, one of the first ways he's introduced is one of the characters doesn't have
one of the red shirts.
Yeah, they don't have the right chip in their arm, so their membership I guess was canceled. So he comes in and he's like, we call him Everest. It's just like the mountain
a mountain of a man.
Mountain from Game of Thrones. He shows up. He basically clotheslines him, throws him over his shoulder, and throws him out. The guy tries to jump on his back and strangle him. He slams him into a wall, and he just has such a nonchalant, like, "Come on, man, seriously?
You're gonna try to do that to me as soon as I let you out."
Yeah, I really liked him. There's no character in this that I hate. I'm not going to say they're brilliant characters, but they're all at least enjoyable in some way or another.
They don't try and so from your description, they're basically not trying to steal the screen from each other. Mm-hmm. They actually do work well together, and that's actually one of the positive points that universally has been pointed out. It's a good cast, and it's actually good acting. Mm-hmm. And I can't disagree with that, mostly surrounding the fact that during this type of movie where it's a survival flick and it's a dystopian future as well, I don't want to try and make comparisons to any of the Mad Max movies, but basically any dystopian sci-fi movie. One of the main focuses, correct me if I'm wrong, is the environment and the atmosphere. That's one of the positive points for me as well. This world, for lack of a better word, is actually built up relatively well. They don't directly explain everything that has happened, because when you already give the details of the city of Los Angeles, no clean water, pissed off people, you can imagine all the shittiness you want, but it actually does show it, and it doesn't necessarily need to explain point for point what it is. That's what makes a great sci-fi movie so great, that you can actually be invested into the world that they provide you, as well as believe that this world could exist.
Well, that's fine way of explaining it, but the movie that I kept thinking about when I was watching this, The Fifth Element.
Okay, yep.
And not necessarily in terms of preference, but more so in terms of style, in terms of uniquity, weirdness, and fascination, because I think I like both this and that movie, both for just how fascinating they are, and again
down to the environment and
but also having a very likable cast of characters. So, I mean, in that regard, I can kind of understand why this movie would be so polarizing, because obviously that same kind of thing happened with The Fifth Element.
Although
not everyone could get behind its craziness, its wackiness.
I think The Fifth Element was actually it was more highly praised because it was set further in the future, but also it wasn't as I would say that The Fifth Element isn't as convoluted of a story as this. For me, that's where a bit of the weak points come with this. Although I do want to build on what you are trying to say about The Fifth Element. Mm-hmm. The technology in this world and the actual just setup of the hotel itself is actually very, very fascinating.
Yeah, it's run down like in every aspect. Like the elevators barely work. They're still lit with very cheap incandescent lighting and all that stuff. But they use nanobots just correctly as a replacement to antibiotics,
or nanites as they call it.
Yeah, they can 3D print internal organs on the spots. And
which is very believable considering that we have already created 3D printing in today's age. So with the progression of technology, this naturally could be a real possibility. Therefore, adding to the build of the environment. Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's okay. Yeah, but yeah, that's that for me again was another big draw of this movie. Just the world is just very fascinating. I really want to see more of it. I kind of hope that maybe, just maybe, you and I both think maybe not so, because this movie's probably not going to make enough money, but it'd be cool to have like an anthology series of like different stories taking place in this particular world. And maybe
possibly on the same night,
maybe with some reoccurring characters, only because Jodie Foster is awesome. I mean, I'm not even like a Jodie Foster fanboy, but her character in this was great. She was the reason I was having as good of a time as I was. Not that all the other characters aren't still likable, but still, she definitely is the star of the show.
There's also a reason she's a 2-time Oscar winner.
Okay, well, let's see. Obviously there's some problems with this movie, one of which we can both agree on. They don't, for as good as the characters are, they don't necessarily utilize them as much as you'd like to. For example, Charlie Day as the arms dealer is more or less just there to cause a bit of a stir between two of the other characters, and he's
basically just there to be a dick.
Yeah, and his story is wrapped up and thrown away very anticlimactically. I mean, I won't say I don't want to.
He does cocaine. He accepts free morphine, and apparently half his face is gone, which is being repaired by Foster.
Yeah, apparently his eyeball was hanging out of his head, but we never get to see that. I like. Again, that was where the line came from. It's like, my eyeball's hanging out of my fucking head. Well, help yourself to some of that morphine. I'll be down in a bit.
God damn it. Okay. But yeah, during the climax, there's also not a resolution to a character who actually is given a backstory and character, as well as sub character, aside from just being a physical beauty. Oh my god. But
the assassin, yep.
Yeah, and she's also utilized more in the climax than Batista is. And okay, from what I tried to say earlier, one of my problems is the third act, essentially. The first two acts are solely established as being build-up. The first act is just these people
introducing everyone,
as well as the hotel itself, and just trying to bring the audience member into the setting and to experience this world. The second act is also still keeps the tension up and rising, because we do learn the intentions of these people, as well as finding out answers to very vague things that were said in the first act. But the third act, they don't take advantage of anything. When you think about a setup of the criminal king of LA checking into this hotel, and with an assassin there, as well as his entire guard being locked up behind gates, and on top of that, one of the people in that hotel has their fortune in his hand. They don't do much. All they do is have two characters fighting off baddies one by one. And granted, the choreography for the assassin who's fighting off people, and keep in mind, they don't allow guns inside at all, because one of the rules is no killing the other patients.
Just like in John Wick.
Yeah, so they have to discard all their guns at the door. And there actually is a very interesting fight sequence involving just the scampering of knives and other stabbing knives and stabbing objects. But yeah, they didn't. For me, they didn't take advantage of a big enough action scene or even that much of a suspense scene, because I was actually discussing with you that they could have had the group stay together. When shit starts to go off, they all split off. Instead of having them be a coalition or a group fighting for survival as a unit, they disband and break off, for me providing a massive anticlimax.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. There was certainly a lot of untapped potential there, especially with the characters you've introduced, and for some of them just to be thrown away so nonchalantly, I thought that was just very disappointing.
And even after the action scene is done, we get closure with one character and
two characters. No, three. Sorry, three characters.
I still don't think there was closure with the chick.
Okay, but it was the nurse.
Yep.
It was
Waikiki, the black guy,
and it was Barista.
Batista.
Sorry.
God, oh, that would be amazing if he was back in wrestling and his gimmick was a coffee clerk, if he worked at Starbucks.
He comes into the ring, he offers everyone coffee.
Would you like coffee? No, and he's a bad guy, he's a heel. Would you like coffee? Shh. Take that, bitch! Batista Barista WWE, call out Batista and offer him that gimmick. He will take no, he won't take any money he wants because he's a bona fide movie star. But okay, going back to the individual actors, I'm a huge wrestling fan, but Dave Batista is a former wrestler. I'm gonna love him no matter what he does. But he, even before he went into movies, he was known for having a good speaking prowess, and he was legitimately able to cut a good promo as well as able to portray a character. And actually, even before this, he was in honestly shitty movies, but he was the best part of those shitty movies, and he actually was a very intimidating villain on Smallville. But okay, aside from the fact he's okay in this, I thought he was a bit side played, and I thought he was actually going to be the lead character, because for me, when I saw the trailers for this on TV, he was the main guy shown in the trailers. Even on the Rotten Tomatoes page, it's his face as the first image you see for the trailer.
I thought Jeff Goldblum was going to be one of the main characters.
Everyone is led astray at some point.
Okay.
Sterling K. Brown, the guy who played Waikiki, he's okay, but I thought he was actually pretty decent. They do try and actually mix in chemistry with him and the assassin, which
and his brother. I was actually kind of getting choked up about his brother.
Well, and I kind of wanted to, but I didn't think we knew both of them together enough for me to be invested. But anyone dying is sad.
No, that is not true.
Variably. No, but what was I gonna say?
At least in movies. I'm not that kind of asshole.
One of the general consensuses is that Sophia Botello, the niece,
yeah.
her name. Well, the room that she stays in is spelt nice, but it's pronounced niece. I don't know what the hell that's about. But
no, it's spelled Neecc.
No, it's Nice. Anyway, not to make you wrong, but the general consensus is that people liked her the best. People have thought that she was one of the better parts of this movie, which, granted, she's not bad at all.
She's the cop?
No, assassin.
She's the assassin. People are saying she's the best part of this movie. Pretty
much. Disagree?
Yeah, I still say Jodie Foster is the best part of this movie.
I didn't think her acting was that good.
How dare you, man?
I'm not against Jodie Foster at all.
It really is like Nurse Jackie grown up and in this hotel.
I don't think I've ever seen Nurse Jackie. It's a TV show, right?
Yeah. Okay, have you seen House?
Yes.
Think house, female, and then apply that.
I thought House was an asshole, though.
He was an asshole.
But for me, Jodie Foster, she wasn't bad by any means. For me, I just thought she did have good lines to say. She had very good lines, and I thought her character was really good. I thought her character in the script was actually given a lot of time, a lot of depth, and you actually did feel for her. You felt her pain. You were able to feel everything that she was going through. Mm-hmm. But I didn't think the performance was able to match with that. I thought that there's only so much that she can provide with the quippiness. It's not necessarily quippiness. She is a very sarcastic individual, and she can be very funny.
Yeah.
But for me, I just thought
I feel like calling it quips is doing her an injustice.
But I thought that her actual acting, for me, she would just go back to the shaking or the twisting of the head a little too much. But I actually thought her delivery was fine. Her speaking was fine. She didn't flub anything up, and at least she wasn't monotone like Waikiki. I thought Waikiki was. There are just several times where he just says, "Fuck, fuck, fuck." Although that's actually one of the funnier parts that you constantly laughed at. So, printer jammed. Okay, and with it, that might also be not necessarily a bad thing, but sort of a conflicting thing. There is a good amount of comedy in this. So
it's good comedy. You know that says a lot when it's coming from me.
And it's not necessary. And I actually laughed too. There were a handful of chuckles, and there was actually good timing in it as well. Mm-hmm. But the only thing
I think a lot of it comes down to characters. Like, characters are not just joke dispensers in this movie. They are actual characters. They all have their own sense of humor. They all have their own enough expressive personalities to where them bouncing off each other is where the comedy comes from. It's not just the way that most comedy nowadays is written, where it's like we just have a shit ton of jokes and we're gonna slap them in the script everywhere we can.
Be it that they're focusing on the joke, on the writing, as well as just the words, as opposed to who's saying the joke, the words, and what they mean. So basically, I'm just trying to agree with you on that.
Okay.
But one realization that I've just had is the script itself is not fully flawed. Again, I like the first two acts, but it's very, very character-based. This is a very character-based movie. Characters in an environment.
Characters in a world, yeah.
But for me personally, the story and the execution is where it lost me. Because even though I am talking about this, saying that I like it, I did enjoy it, but I only marginally enjoyed it. Because I was disappointed that they weren't able to fully take advantage of the opportunities.
I can agree with that. For as much as I enjoyed this movie too, I can't say it really with some more spit and polish, it could have been a lot better than what it is. It really could have been on par with The Fifth Element. One of those another one of those movies that only comes out every 5 years.
I also might have gone into this with a little bit of high expectations, because I sort of told you I was expecting this to be like Dread.
Really?
Yeah, I was expecting, because for me, it's a bit of a reverse premise, being that instead of the prey going into the lion's den, it's the lion's den coming to the prey within this confined environment. But I didn't. It's also sort of hard to tell where the focus of the genre of this is, because from the trailers and from even from the poster with Batista carrying an axe, you expect this to be like an incredibly gory action movie that Well, even if it's not heavily action based, you can still have something like Blade Runner, where you're able to have bits of action and bits of even intense action, or overlying with themes and themes based in a relatable environment. I know I'm saying environment a lot, but again, dystopian future sci-fi, that's still one of the heavy hitting points and one of the heavy hitting targets of these movies. And I didn't think there was enough action or enough sufficeable action in this. Granted, what was on screen, what was okay. There was not a lot of CG in this, because they did use a lot of practical stuff. But then again, they didn't have too much. They didn't have too much action in order to be able to need CG for that sense.
So you said you went into this with high expectations. My dad, what he likes to do with me a lot is when I tell him about movies I'm about to see, he likes to find me fun reviews and send them my way. This is from The Observer. The guy's name is Rex Reed. He gave this movie a 0. This is his thing on Metacritic. Moronic drivel that truly qualifies as the worst movie of the year. It sinks amateurish movie making aimed at audiences with no taste to an alarming new low.
Has that fucker ever seen Pacific Rim 2 or Uprising, whatever the fuck they want to call it? Has that asshole seen that movie? Fuck him.
Wow, yeah, that's...
Okay, if you're saying that this is the worst movie of the year, you are a fucking snob. Fuck off. Okay, I know I might seem snobby about this too, but it's just little personal things with me in this movie. Overall, I did like it. It was okay.
I enjoyed it too. I think it's worth seeing if you could see it on a matinee. I can't be
matinee, absolutely.
I can't be irresponsible and say, "Oh yes, please go see this movie the first opportunity you can get," because it's not necessarily that great. I mean, it is thoroughly entertaining.
Worth renting too.
It's one of those movies that's worth seeing at least once. Mainly
worth a view.
Mainly for its uniquity, its originality, and at least the good parts that are good enough to be appreciated by themselves, even if it doesn't necessarily maintain it all the way to the end.
And, okay, I just want to say, with you saying originality, you having compared the premise to John Wick, and okay, I sort of wanted to say this felt like The Purge, because of some people trying to get into, because of Wolf King's gang trying to get into the hotel to get him looked at. That only reminded me of the first Purge movie, which almost everyone agrees is the worst, either that or the third one, because everyone only agrees that the second one is actually good. Regardless, I still had an okay time at this. I was contemplating early on about, like, why are people saying this is terrible? This looks awesome.
Right.
It looks great. Like, and it's not anything. Again, the direction for this was based on vision. Vision in most senses of the words. The camera work is actually really good. There is no sloppiness at all. Like, if anything, there might have only been one botch during the choreography of the assassin's fight scene. Which, again, that was actually pretty good. But, again, I thought they shortchanged Batista because all he does is just swing an axe. But, again, visually, the style of this is still really good. And it doesn't even necessarily pull its punches with the color palette that it uses for its direction as well. It's not so much sickly that it's not worth looking at. It's sickly in the fact that it uses oranges as well as reds. Well, red is the primary color in the third act, but it also uses that against a black backdrop to be able to show you that there is color in this darkness, but it's not the prettiest color that you want to see. And another sort of nitpick, even though I did say that the dialogue, they actually do say that the characters do say realistic things to each other. A lot of the dialogue did feel a bit repetitive. Like they bang on about the rules constantly. And granted, the rules are a part of the foundation.
I like when they do that. Again, gives it some kind of actual sense of structure to this place, and makes the characters seem more like professionals.
Also, you're a fucking Boy Scout. You love the rules. Okay, that's me. That's mean.
I'm not just a Boy Scout, man. I'm an Eagle Scout,
which makes you even more of a nerd.
There you go.
I'm kidding.
Damn it.
No,
can I just say, in shorts, this movie's not good enough to be loved, but it's too good to be hated. So
absolutely.
So
agree with that.
Take that with what you will. I think there certainly is a lot this movie has to offer, and like I said, I think you give it a chance. Not at the first opportunity you can, but if you're curious, check it out.
Yes, if you are curious, definitely go for it. And if you're just a fan of sci-fi, dystopian sci-fi, as well as just general suspense, this actually is a very tense movie. It does have a good amount of build-up, and it does offer very dangerous circumstances. Although one of the circumstances is just swept under the rug, and oh yeah, it's fine. The part with the cop.
Yeah.
But that's just to add to Foster's character, which again, Foster's character is great. I just didn't think her acting didn't match up to the character, but again, a lot of the other people, even Charlie Day was actually pretty okay in this, but
Charlie Day was great.
He was better in this than Pacific Rim.
Fuck, he could have been a great villain if he took this character and put it in Pacific Rim. Would have been fine.
And I wanted Dayman to play over the coke snorting scene. Dayman. Charlie Day was good. The actors in this were good. Even Jeff Goldblum, Jeff Goldblum I thought mumbled a bit too much. But then again, he's dying.
Well, he's on heavy drugs, so can't be too hard on him.
Okay. Was it also, I thought it was out of left field that the reveal of him being for what he's done, blah, blah, blah. I thought that was out of nowhere.
That was kind of out of nowhere, and it was not something that was even remotely hinted at or mentioned up until that point. So that's another thing that I felt was kind of missed potential there.
Missed potential, but it's Jeff Goldblum. Who's going to hate him now?
Yeah.
And I'm actually for him playing more villains, because he was the villain in this. He was the villain in, well, not the main villain, but he was one of the villains in Thor Ragnarok. He was actually entertaining in that. But yeah, Jeff Goldblum needs to play more villains. Always down for that. But yeah, I'd recommend this. Just call me crazy for pointing out all the problems, but I'd still recommend it. Sci-fi movie people, and well, again, I'm actually a sucker. I would call myself a sucker for dystopian movies.
Okay.
Just to see how shitty we can get as a people.
Like I say this all the time, but I'm always on the hunt for movies that are at least different. In an industry plagued so much with sequels, reboots, remakes, and comic book adaptations, it's nice to see something that's just kind of its own standalone piece. And yeah, for all this movie's faults, I still had a pretty damn good time. And so I can at least cautiously recommend it to people.
Okay, absolutely agree with that. Sequels, reboots, there's something new. Mm-hmm. It might not have like hit all the marks for box office gold.
And admittedly, it is this guy's first movie.
That is very true. And to have this be your first project is pretty ambitious. Mm-hmm. And hopefully he goes on to do better things. Yeah. And hopefully Batista goes on to do better things.
There's a part where he does his best Hulk impression too.
That is true. He's fighting off a couple of cops, overzealous cops, and oh yeah, you even said it right there. Hulk smash, and I say to you, Drax smash.
Yep.
Although Well, at least he's not Groot.
At least he's not Groot. Well, so I don't know what we're going to be seeing next because
We never do.
Yeah, we never do. There's really a lot coming out now. We're not going to be able to get to everything. There's Incredibles 2. There's Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom.
I was gonna try and hint to that would be a definite possibility in the future because his dad actually loved the first Jurassic World.
Oh yeah. He's like, we are definitely seeing that together. There's the sequel to Sicario, which I got to show you the first one.
Yes, you do, because I actually legitimately wanted to see that.
Yeah. And maybe, just maybe, we can see Tag. Maybe.
Ooh, oh, whew, okay. Ooh.
It's got Jeremy Renner in it.
It's got his boy!
But I have a sinking suspicion he's going to play a bit part in that movie.
Actually, it might have two of your boys. You really like Ed Helms, don't you?
Who the hell's Ed Holmes?
No, Ed Helms.
Who the hell is he?
Okay, he was Stu, the glasses guy from The Hangover. The guy who loses the tooth.
What in any way makes you think that he's my boy?
Because you really liked him in that movie, and I think
I did?
Yes. You thought he was the most relatable out of all of them.
Okay, I remember I'm not the biggest fan of The Hangover. Not that I hate it, but okay. What else has he been in?
Okay, all right. I put myself on the spot. Fuck myself. But yeah, I would definitely like to see Tag because it actually does have a bit of a unique premise to it.
At least, yeah. At the end of the day, all I can say is at least it's not yet another crude comedy.
That is very true, and there is a very good chance of chemistry in it.
Maybe. The other thing that worries me the most is the fact that they say based on a true story. Because what was the last movie we saw where that was the case? Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates.
Oh God, the scarring from that movie.
Oh well. Well,
we can only hope for the best.
Yep. We'll see you when we see you.